Welcome to The Critique. Today we're breaking down a Chicks on the Right video transcript about Kanye West's big apology letter in the Wall Street Journal.
It covers his anti-Semitic comments, a bipolar diagnosis, and a rumored album. So let's just dive right into the feedback.
Okay, first up, managing the density of primary source texts is crucial for maintaining viewer retention in a commentary format.
Yeah, this is the first big hurdle. And it's a really common one in this kind of reaction content. The hosts chose to read Kanye's editorial almost entirely verbatim.
And we're not talking about a tweet here. This thing is long.
No, it's a dense, full-page letter. They spend so much airtime just reading.
Reading about a 25-year-old car accident, the medical details of a frontal lobe, a 2023 diagnosis. It felt like the whole show just hit the brakes and turned into an audiobook reading. And the problem there is pacing, right?
It kills the pacing completely. The second you start reading a huge block of text, you've handed over control of the show's energy to the document itself.
And your audience is there to hear your take, not just the source material read aloud.
Exactly. They can read it faster themselves. While the host is reciting medical history, the audience is just waiting for the so what part.
So the suggestion is to shift from a read-along strategy to more of a summarizing quote strategy.
Yes, absolutely. You need to be the curator, not just the messenger. It keeps the energy way up, but still gives all the context.
So what would that actually sound like?
Well, take that whole section about his medical history. It's so dense. Instead of reading it all, the host could just nail it in one sentence.
Like what?
Something super direct, like he details a history of frontal lobe injury from his car accident and a 2023 bipolar diagnosis. Boom, done.
That one sentence does the work of, 30 seconds of reading?
And it gives you all you need. It frees you up to focus on the parts that are actually controversial or emotionally charged.
Right, so you save the verbatim reading for the punchy bits.
That's the key. You quote the parts that drive the narrative. The part where he says he was, quote, gravitating toward the swastika, for instance. Or that, slightly weird apology to the Black community, I love us.
Those are the lines you need to hear in his voice, so to speak, because the specific words are the story.
Precisely. And for a video, you can just flash the full text on screen or link it in the show notes for audio. It lets the hosts jump right to the interesting parts, like the bit about the 2025 Minute episode, so much faster. It just respects the audience's time.
That's a great, actionable shift. Okay, let's move on. When introducing theories about authorship or intent, the argument is strengthened by bridging the gap between intuition and evidence.
This was a moment that had so much potential. But it didn't quite land the plane. The host speculates that Milo Yiannopoulos wrote the letter.
Which is a great theory.
It's a fantastic theory, but her evidence is that it sounds Milo, and he tweeted it. That's it. It leaves the observation feeling anecdotal instead of, analytical.
It's a gut check, which is fine for a chat, but for a deep dive, you really want to see the work. You want to know why the alarm bells are ringing.
Right, the why is everything. Otherwise, you're just asking the audience to trust your gut. The suggestion here is that you have to actually substantiate that feeling.
So how do we do that? The idea is to deconstruct the text itself, to find those stylistic markers.
Exactly. Start with the vocabulary. The letter uses words like regime, mortified, unquestionably.
Not exactly Kanye's typical word choice.
Is it? Or does it sound more like a provocative PR guy who writes in these polished, dramatic paragraphs? You can ask that question directly to the audience.
That totally changes it from a guess into something more like forensic analysis. You're comparing the text to known styles.
Yes. And look at the sentence structure itself. That line, I gravitated toward the most destructive symbol I could find.
Oh, that's pure theater.
It is. It's theatrical contrition. It feels designed for a headline. A host could ask, does this sound like Kanye's usual, raw, chaotic communication, or does it sound like a hired gun? Now you're giving the audience proof.
And they did mention that Milo might still be on his PR team, but it felt like a bit of an afterthought.
It came way too late. If you front-load that context, hey, we know Milo was still on the payroll, it completely reframes the reading of the letter.
The audience becomes a detective.
Right, they're actively looking for Milo's fingerprints. It turns the whole segment into an investigation, not just a reaction, and it makes the host sound way more authoritative.
It engages the audience's critical thinking, which is great, and that leads perfectly into the overall structure. The placement of cynical counter-information determines whether a segment feels like an investigation or a deflation.
This for me was the biggest tonal issue. The segment spends a long time building up this really genuine empathy. They're saying bipolar is a legit thing, they're praising the apology. It's a very human conversation.
And then the other shoe drops.
Right at the very end, album dropping in 4 days, and you just feel this jarring emotional whiplash. It basically invalidates the last 5 minutes of discussion.
It makes the listener feel a bit cheated, like, oh, so why did we just go through all that deep analysis of his mental health?
It turns the segment into a gotcha moment. So the suggestion is to weave that skepticism in much, much earlier. Create dramatic tension from the start. Don't save it for a twist ending.
That's really interesting. It actually changes the entire genre of the segment.
It does. Instead of a reaction that ends in disappointment, it becomes a mystery. What if they started the show with the hook? Is this a medical breakthrough, or is this a marketing campaign for an album dropping in 4 days?
That changes everything. Now you're listening to the letter completely differently.
Completely. Every sentence gets scrutinized through that lens. When Kanye writes, "I am pouring my energy into positive, meaningful art," the host can jump in immediately.
And say what?
They can say, "Context check. He has a project releasing this week. Does that change how we interpret this specific sentence?" You keep the tension alive.
So you're balancing the empathy for his illness with the skepticism about the timing side by side.
Exactly. And they used that David Dreamin quote, "Actions speak louder than words," but they used it as a reaction. What if they use it as a framing device right at the beginning?
You set the stage with it, so you're constantly testing the letter against that standard as you go.
Yes, it creates a much stronger narrative arc. You're investigating the sincerity in real time, armed with all the facts, instead of getting blindsided at the finish line. It respects the complexity of the whole thing, that it can be a mental health crisis and a marketing push at the same time.
And that nuance is what really elevates good commentary to great commentary. Okay, let's talk about the final point. Transition. Transitions between serious cultural commentary and commercial endorsements require a tonal buffer to preserve the integrity of the content.
This was quite a leap in the draft. We're deep in a discussion about anti-Semitism, quoting David Draymond on deleting Heil Hitler. Very heavy stuff.
And then, almost in the same breath, we pivot to
Masa chips versus kin chips.
It is so abrupt. It's like pulling the emergency brake on the conversation.
It's tonally dissonant, and it's really hard for a listener to switch gears that fast. It risks making this serious discussion feel trivial, or the ad read feel, insensitive.
Which isn't the intention at all. So the suggestion here is pretty simple, actually. Use a definitive segment close.
You need a hard reset. You can't just slide into an ad from a topic like that. You need a clear sign-off, something like, "We'll be watching to see if his actions match these words." That's a heavy topic.
And then what? Just a pause?
A pause, yeah. Silence is powerful, and then you verbally guide the audience. Now, on a completely lighter note, let's talk about something that makes us feel good. You have to walk them out of the dark room and into the kitchen. You can't just teleport them.
I did notice they tried to link them with a comment about weird PR people probably not eating masa chips.
And I think that actually makes it weirder. Trying to connect Milo Yiannopoulos and anti-Semitism PR strategy directly to corn chips it's a bridge too far. It feels awkward.
It feels forced. Yeah.
It is. It's so much better to just create a hard break. Close the weird PR door, lock it, then open the clean eating door. Don't try to make them exist in the same thought.
It protects the ad, and it protects the seriousness of the commentary.
Exactly. It signals to the listener, okay, the news analysis part is done. Now we're moving on. It's a mental shift, and the audience appreciates being guided through it.
So to recap for the creators here, condense the reading of primary documents. That summarize and quote method is key.
Second, substantiate your theories. Don't just say something feels Malloy. Show us the fingerprints in the text, the vocabulary, the sentence structure. Prove it.
Third, restructure the narrative. Move that album news up to the beginning to create tension instead of a gotcha at the end.
Tension is so much better than surprise in this format.
And finally, build a real wall between your heavy news segments and your ad read. Use a clear segment closer and a tonal shift to guide the audience.
We genuinely love to see how you implement these changes. It's a really strong show with great chemistry. These are just structural tweaks to make it even better.
Absolute. Refine the structure, tighten those transitions, and please submit your next episode for review. We're really looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
That does it for this edition of The Critique. Keep creating and keep improving.